Well, the nihilism that comes from atheism doesn't exactly sell gym memberships.
Well, first of all, atheism and nihilism are two separate concepts. Maybe nihilists don't believe in God, but that doesn't mean that nihilism comes from atheism. But also I have to ask, how is Christianity safeguarded from nihilism, or from a Christian becoming a nihilist or being a nihilist? Because if you actually think about Christian theology says that none of this matters, right? Like nothing in this life matters. The only thing that matters is the afterlife. So why is it that atheism is deeply coupled to nihilism, or that nihilism comes from atheism, when it seems like you could just as easily justify that nihilism comes from Christianity, being that none of this actually matters. It doesn't matter whether or not you follow the laws of man. It only matters whether or not you follow God's law. Nothing of fleshly matters, as Paul would describe a lot of different things, actually matters. It's only matters of the spirit that actually matter. In terms of nihilism and what he's thinking of as nihilism, meaning that nothing here matters or anything like that because one reason or another, I feel like on Christianity, certain views of Christianity, this whole idea of an apocalypse is coming and all that, so none of this actually matters, I feel like you could totally base nihilism on Christianity, because Christianity literally says none of this shit matters. So you understand what I'm talking about here from the very beginning of this video, when it's like, why do Christians try to shit on atheism, but then end up describing their own fucking worldview? And that seems to be what this guy is doing in the video.
Why bother when you can just argue online all day while your arms turn into Olive Garden breadsticks?
And there goes the Olive Garden breadsticks. Let's just follow this logic here. Nihilists, according to him, don't care about anything. All of this fleshly shit doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Our actions don't matter or anything like that. So they don't go to a gym. Why would that same individual decide to go home and argue on the internet? For nihilists, if none of this shit matters, then arguing with another person online is still not going to fucking matter. And again, the whole Olive Garden bread arm thing, that's just more toxic masculinity springing forth from this guy. Whether he knows it or not, it's definitely toxically masculine. It doesn't really matter if you have spaghetti arms or anything like that. Like, that is not a sign of being a weak person. I mean, maybe you're not physically strong. That doesn't mean that you're weak, like weak-willed, weak-minded, weak emotionally. There are plenty of people out there that are not very muscular. They are what he would consider a weak person, that are so emotionally strong. It puts this guy to shame. They put me to shame. I'm not saying that I'm any different. They would put me to shame, because I would say that there are several instances where I'm emotionally weak and psychologically weak. But those are things that I have to deal with. Those are things that I choose to take on every day, which maybe offsets that weakness. I don't really know. I don't know why I'm trying to sit here and like philosophically determine like this whole weakness shit. Like, this is just toxic masculinity rearing its head out of Christianity.
I suspect it's actually the other way around most of the time, with the weakness coming before the atheism.
Oh, okay. So you are a weak person to start with. Even when you're a Christian, you're a weak person, and then you become an atheist, and therefore you are weak. Like, you continue to be weak. Atheism is a product of weakness for him. This makes sense with him being a Christian dude, bro, though. Again, more toxic masculinity, but also he's trying to deeply couple this idea of believing in his particular version of Christianity with being a strong person in general. I'm guessing he's trying to draw these two things because he obviously runs some kind of bodybuilding ministry. And so to him, those things are deeply coupled. Like, to be strong in Christ is to be physically and emotionally and mentally strong in life. Okay, fine if you want to see it that way. I still think that it takes a much stronger individual to critically examine the claims of Christianity, come to their own conclusions, and then reject those ideas because they're dumb as fuck. Magic cannot be proven. Or at least it hasn't been proven yet. And we don't have any good methods in which to prove magic, because magic exists outside of the realm of reality. So yes, it takes a much stronger willed person to reject the most commonly held belief in the world and maintain that they don't believe that, even in the face of people all the time, dude bros included, saying that you can't have a moral foundation. You are a morally weak person because you don't believe in God. You're talking about the God that ordered the Israelites to go capture young virgin girls and force them into marriages, which is by definition sexual slavery. That's the God. Like, you want to be a strong person? Follow that God, because he's not taking shit from nobody and he rapes women. Like, what the fuck, dude?
And let me say, I was one of these weak atheists. Look at this guy.
Oh, all of this is okay because he used to be a weak atheist too. Didn't you see his fucking Olive Garden arms? I don't see weakness in that photo. I mean, he looked like he was chillaxing. He looked like he didn't have a 2x4 shoved up his ass by Christ. I mean, he seemed like a pretty chill dude. I don't see anything wrong with that. And you also don't have to be like super buff and work out 6 times a week, lift 250 pounds or some kind of bullshit. That's just ridiculous. And this also plays into the whole idea I have of Christians who proclaim to be former atheists, which he's got a picture of himself wearing an atheist shirt. I don't know if that necessarily proves that he was an atheist. He could have been wearing that shirt sarcastically or something like that. I don't really know. Let's, just for the sake of argument, assume that he was an atheist. Fine, he was an atheist. But when he became a Christian, he obviously put on those Christ-colored glasses and looked at his past, and he saw weakness. And that's how he chooses to see it today. So he's definitely very biased in how he's critiquing his former self. Now he's preferring to view that as weak, as this sort of, story of becoming something bigger and stronger, leaner, dude broier.
So I'm really just picking on my old self. Let's picture a hypothetical weak guy. He's low on the totem pole and looking to climb. Accountability to God is a burden he'd rather avoid.
Accountability to God is a burden he would rather not carry. Are you fucking serious right now? First of all, this accountability to God is quite bullshit, because God just tells you what he likes and what he doesn't like, and you are to follow those rules. That is the easiest fucking thing that you could possibly do, is just, that's what God likes, so that's good. It has no connection to morality whatsoever. And it has no connection to being a strong individual. And more importantly, it has no connection to accountability. I mean, sure, he's holding himself accountable to what his God likes, right? But is that really the important thing here? Like, is it really that important to hold yourself accountable to what that psychopath wants? You're trying to tell me that it's hard to be accountable to somebody that chose to flood the entire earth, killing men, women, babies, all of those innocent people. And not only that, but he's elected to kill random people throughout time for literally no reason. You want us to be held accountable to that God? You actually think that it's hard for us to get a kill order from God, look at him with a crazy ass look on our face and be like, nah, bro, this ain't it. Like, seriously, this is ridiculous. Atheists are held accountable to their family, friends, the community that they exist within, the society they exist within. They're held accountable in multiple different ways that matter more than your God's fucking feelings.